Trump's announcement on the Gaza Peace Plan, not good. I'm not optimistic about the deal. I'm glad that people are no longer dying for now, and I'm glad that it's a gesture towards peace. But as I said last week, it does not resolve the root causes of the conflict. And this is why the conflict has been simmering for decades, for generations, and it's sporadically that it will boil over. I'm sure you all saw Trump's speech at the Israeli Knesset. What the fuck was that? I mean, he goes up there. Like, you can't even overstate, you can't even exaggerate how ridiculous, like what a folly this was.
And we definitely don't want people switching up on us on a specific agenda that we don't know about. So just keep an eye for that, because I noticed Nick flip-flopping between hating on Israel, not bashing them, and backing them on various different topics. He was bashing the administration. Now he's talking gleefully about J.D. Vance when he was recently saying how much he was bad. So what's going on here, Nick? What's going on? We're diving headfirst into the pool of this Gaza Peace Plan. United States of America, Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Nick Fuentes has some words to say. Now, I will say, there's some things that I don't agree with on Nick recently, and it feels like he's been changing his tune. So I'm keeping a close eye on him, and I think you should too, because we don't want to be divided, we don't want to be misled, and we definitely don't want people switching up on us on a specific agenda that we don't know about. So just keep an eye for that, because I noticed Nick flip-flopping between hating on Israel, not bashing them, and backing them on various different topics. He was bashing the administration. Now he's talking gleefully about J.D. Vance when he was recently saying how much of a fag he was. So what's going on here, Nick? What's going on? I'll take what you got to say, the good stuff, and I'll show it to the people, bro, but you're going to lose that credibility if you keep this shit up. Anyways, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Let's run it.
Trump's announcement on the Gaza Peace Plan, not good. I'm glad that people are no longer dying for now, and I'm glad that it's a gesture towards peace. But as I said last week, it does not resolve the root causes of the conflict. And this is why the conflict has been simmering for decades, for generations, and it's sporadically that it will boil over. And then it goes back to its state of simmering, but it's never fully resolved. And I think that is all the peace plan does, is it just defers this part of the conflict to a later date. I think that what most likely will happen is that Israel will shift its attention to Iran and decisively confront Iran soon, and then probably revisit Gaza within a year. And I think that's the most likely outcome. I seriously doubt that this plan has the specificity, the details. I don't know that Trump has the focus or willpower to follow through on it. I don't think Netanyahu has abandoned any of his goals that have been articulated, for decades, but especially ever since the war in Gaza began. That being said, the reason I suspect this is because inside the deal, the 20-point plan, some of the points have been agreed upon. The hostage prisoner exchange, ceasefire, specifically to remove Hamas from power, which means disarming them and then expelling them or eradicating them and ensuring that they have no future in the governance of Gaza, or really no presence in Gaza at all, and certainly not with weapons. And I heard some reports last week that Hamas had agreed to lay down their arms. I don't believe that's verified, though.
All of this stuff, man, is a big show. It's all a big-ass show. Gaza, Israel, Trump. I'm at the point now where I don't believe a damn thing. I don't. I think this is all for show to get everybody off of Netanyahu's back. Trump is doing him a favor by helping that, which really, I mean, I don't see the natural expectation of us supporting Israel as being such a viable option for the United States of America people. I just don't see it. But I don't give two fucks if they send money over there. I don't want them to, especially not my wife's tax money, mine, eventually my daughter's. I live here in America, and we have more oil here than they do over there. They don't give it to us for cheap. We should be getting that. Why aren't we getting that oil? How come we have the largest agriculture, except for that little area in Ukraine and like some parts of the Middle East? We have plenty of land. We've got plenty of agriculture here, food. We feed the entire world with our agriculture. So why is it that we need to defend Israel, and how that protects our interests because of all of these wars that were created and that we have to have them fight all of these battles for it. It's like they are not like there is no human being on the fucking planet that is willing to go and fight on behalf of another country just to help them out. They get military just because they're getting the military. I'm guaranteeing you that this is not what it looks like because we're not able to go over there and verify and check how much money's being sent and where it's going. We don't even know if there's a war at all. It could just be exactly what people think it is. If it's just exactly what people think it is, then that's not a good thing because that's not a war. That's something else. That's something else entirely. It's called, all right? And if you want to get me to believe that Hamas can battle for all this time, for years, against the Israeli Defense Force and even Americans going over there to help, you got me fucked up, bro. You got me fucked up. I don't care what's going on anywhere else in the world. However, us putting our money on the line for people getting murdered, right? Getting murdered, kids getting destroyed, their testicles fuck off by dogs. That's what's happening. All right, go look. I said in the last video, they didn't want me to put it out. I'm saying it again. Maybe I'll mute it and you guys can read the text. But what is going on, man? When are we going to stand up for ourselves? When are we going to stop fighting? You know, I'm at a point now where I realize I figured it out. I think a lot of us are starting to open up and figure it out. They want us to be fighting exactly like we are, left versus right, when in reality, it's them versus us. And until we figure that out completely and we're able to, you know, come together, it's going to be their game, their play all day long, every day. You know, it's their decision. Pam Bondi has lied to us. I don't know how she's going to backtrack that. I think that's a felony, no? Especially for somebody in her stature. You've got the entire government covering up. You've got hundreds of billions of dollars over the last few decades going to Israel, and now more billions that Trump is literally on the wire in front of the Israeli flag talking to all of their people about. You know, $100 million donor, Adelson. You know, there's a lot of people that are benefiting from this, and it's not us. It's a small group of 9 million people, which is less than the the population of Los Angeles. I mean, what's going on here, man? So so imagine if you gave $350 billion to LA or to Hawaii or to anywhere. I mean, and applied it properly, right? I'm at a point now where I'm just fed up, dude. Like we can't keep going like this. And until we all realize that we're on the same team fighting the same battle, we're going to end up destroying ourselves for them. Like that's what they're trying to do, is get us to kill each other for them so they don't have to do it. I don't know.
Or under what conditions. And so anyway, the big news today, that Trump comes out today during some ceremony and says, well, Hamas said they would lay down their arms. He said, but if they don't, I will disarm them violently. And so what does that mean? So now is the United States going to invade Gaza? We're going to now bomb Hamas ourselves? And I don't know how likely any of that is. It could be rhetoric. It could be a throwaway statement, but I don't like it. And I don't like anything about the deal. I don't like that there are 300 American personnel in Israel. There's 100 operating the two THAAD weapon systems. 200 more have been deployed to oversee the logistics of the prisoner exchange. I don't like that there are Americans there. I don't like that we now own this because Trump has intervened. And I don't like the threat, even if it's an idle threat, even if it's, like I said, a throwaway remark. If that's his typical gunboat diplomacy, the kind of madman theory, whatever you want to call it, I don't like it. Maybe it was more than a week. Trump and Netanyahu come together for the fourth time this year in America. They hold a press conference and they present this 20-point plan for peace in Gaza. And over the ensuing week, Trump really nails Netanyahu down and gets him to agree to a first phase implementing the 20-point plan. And this consists in a ceasefire, a partial withdrawal from the IDF, and a prisoner exchange. Hamas gives up the remaining hostages. Israel frees, I think it's about 1,500 Palestinian hostages or prisoners. All the Zionists got mad that people are calling them hostages. I don't know. They seem like hostages to me. But anyway, so they implement the deal, and Trump flies out to Israel to speak at the Israeli Knesset, their parliament, their legislature, and then flies to Egypt to sign the deal with the House of Al Thani from Qatar, with the Egyptian president, with Erdogan from Turkey. I think Maloney was there, Starmer was there, everybody was there. Trump goes to Israel to give this speech, and the glazing was like, it's a level of glazing that shouldn't even be possible. He goes up there and says, no one went to the White House more than the Adelsons. He said, and I asked Miriam Adelson, which do you love more, America or Israel? And she wouldn't answer.
There was a lot of pressure put on these presidents. It was put on me too, but I didn't yield to the pressure. But every president for decades said, we're going to do it. The difference is I kept my promise and officially recognized the capital of Israel and moved the American embassy to Jerusalem. Isn't that right, Miriam? Look at Miriam. She's back there. Stand up, Miriam. Stand up.
Look at when they stand up and cheer. Look at what they're doing. They're cheering for her. They're turning to her.
Miriam and Sheldon would come into the office. They'd call me. He'd call me. I think they had more trips to the White House than anybody else I could think of. Look at her sitting there so innocently.
Of course.
She's got $60 billion in the bank, $60 billion. And I think she's saying no more. And she loves Israel, but she loves it, and they would come in, and her husband was a very aggressive man, but I loved him. He was a very aggressive, very supportive of me. And he'd call up, can I come over and see you? I say, Sheldon, I'm the president of the United States. It doesn't work that way.
The power that these people wield or feel that they wield because of the money that they've used to influence the political lobby in Trump, they'll do whatever they want. He says, oh, I'm the president. You can't just show up here. It's not like a business office at Trump Hotel. Yeah, to them it is because they own him, hypothetically, theoretically. They own him because they pay the big bucks. Why do you think Qatar has got their little base over here with the military and the F-15s? What about that Air Force One that they built? Are we connecting the dots?
But they were very responsible for so much, including getting me thinking about Golan Heights, which is probably one of the greatest things to ever happen to
Israel. Look at what they're doing. They're cheering for her. They're going to her.
Stand up, please.
This is about her. She made this happen. They all know it. She paid for it. Trump took the money and did whatever it is that they did. $350 million of receipts. Watch my video, Miriam Adelson. I'll put it at the end of this video, man. It's just insane to watch.
Really
They're rubbing it in our face.
Loves this country.
They know this is going to be televised here. They know we're going to see it. He doesn't care.
She loves this country. Her and her husband are so incredible. We miss him so dearly. But I actually asked her, I'm going to get her in trouble with this, but I actually asked her once, I said, so Miriam, I know you love Israel. What do you love more, the United States or Israel? She refused to answer. That means...
What do you think? That obviously...
Israel.
Of course it's Israel. But the thing is, the problem is if the United States goes away, then they would just fall right in line with the United States. They are like chameleons, okay? They will go and weave into whatever they need to get whatever they want. And then when they're done, they're done. But they're not done with us yet. They're just not done with us yet.
It's like they're just giving it away. They're just saying it now. And Shapiro or somebody, I think it was an Israeli reporter from one of the Israeli television stations said that the head of the dais, I don't know which official it was, but the head of the dais in the parliament put on his yarmulke because it was a religious experience. There's some Israeli reporter said, in 20 years of reporting on the Knesset, I've never seen anything like this. People were putting on their yarmulkes, which they don't even do normally. He said, and they put on the yarmulke to show religious reverence for Trump and what he was saying in the speech. Okay, this is what, I'm not even exaggerating, that's what they said. And then in the middle of the speech, Trump, unscripted, says to the president of Israel, which is different than Netanyahu, he says to the president of Israel, you should pardon Netanyahu. He's a war hero. He knows how to win. That's why everyone loves him. And you need to give him a pardon, like seriously. Okay? And Netanyahu is happy as a clam. Like, this guy could not be happier. Happy as a clam. So this is a speech that Trump gives at the Knesset. It's a religious experience for the Jews. He's their Messiah. Then Trump flies to Egypt and signs the deal. And so far, so good. It looks like Hamas is giving up the 20 remaining living hostages. Israel's preparing to give up some of the prisoners. And what's really interesting is now some of these Muslim countries are disavowing Hamas. And October 7th, Mahmoud Abbas, who is the head of the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, he condemned October 7th for the first time. And there's some reporting that says that Hamas is laying down their weapons. I haven't seen that verified, but if that's true, it does seem that maybe this peace plan has some legs. I was very skeptical. And just very briefly, in a nutshell, my problem with the peace plan is that they didn't agree to all of it yet. Okay, they're implementing it in phases. The parts that they have not agreed upon are really the root causes of the conflict. It's whether there'll be a Palestinian state. It's whether Hamas will disarm and leave. It's whether Israel will retain security control over the Strip. These are all things that have been the root problems. These have been kind of the source of the intransigence from the very beginning. So in other words, if there was no agreement on this in January of this year, in May of last year, in November of 23, why is there suddenly agreement on this now? And so I suspected that this, like every other ceasefire, was just Israel buying time to get a reprieve for their reserve forces, to maybe refocus on another adversary in the theater, a different theater in the conflict, like Iran, or even the Houthis for that matter, or disarming Hezbollah. Take your pick. They're temporarily pausing in Gaza so they could go and focus on the other guys, give the ground forces a breather, and then go back in later, absent a commitment to implement a longer-term deal. But some of what's being said has surprised me. And like I said, Abbas disavowing October 7th, some reporting that says Hamas is ready to disarm. It seems like maybe it really is over. I mean, who knows? But then I saw the story today in the Washington Post, and you've got Donald Trump saying that if Hamas does not voluntarily disarm, if they don't give up their weapons and leave the Strip, Trump says that the United States will violently disarm them. And I'll read the story, then we'll explain the significance. It says, President Trump said Tuesday that the United States could step in to disarm Hamas quickly and perhaps violently if the organization does not do so itself. He said, which is a potential vulnerability in the U.S.-brokered ceasefire agreement that has tentatively brought an end to 2 years of war between Israel and Hamas. Hamas, which has controlled Gaza for nearly 2 decades, has not yet publicly agreed to or signed anything specifying how it will disarm, although Trump suggested that he had received verbal assurances that they would.
Verbal assurances. Why is it that they don't want to sign any paperwork? Why is it that they want to hide everything, but they want all of us to be exposed? How is that? You're going to hold the victim. They got the victim card just so stranglehold. I thought my exes were bad. Jesus Christ. If you don't believe in Jesus Christ, I highly encourage you to pick up that Bible.
He said, everyone says, oh, well, they won't disarm. They will disarm, he said. And I spoke to Hamas and I said, you're going to disarm, right? Yes, sir, we're going to disarm. That's why they told me they will disarm or we will disarm them. Got it? Trump declined to provide specifics on how the United States would do that, and when asked about a deadline, said it would be a reasonable period of time. He's just like an NPC. It literally is like a dialogue tree, right? They said, "Sir, how many times have you heard Trump, like he retells a story, and in every story, the people are saying, 'Sir, sir.'" Like every story starts with another person talking to Trump and respectfully addressing him. "Sir, sir," Hamas said. Do you really think Hamas said that? Were they even speaking English? Like, what are you talking about? And then, what's the deadline? A reasonable period of time. Like no one's ever seen. It's just like NPC response. It's just like a sound box, right? You press the button, you just get the same things. Anyway, he says, "I don't have to explain that to you." Love it. "But if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. They know I'm not playing games." Later, he went on a tangent that suggested he believed Hamas could not yet disarm because the group needed to take out a couple of gangs that were very bad. He said, "We have told them we want them to disarm, and they will disarm, and if they don't disarm, we will disarm them, and it'll happen quickly and perhaps violently, but they strongly and powerfully, and we're monitoring." He says, "But they will disarm. Do you understand me?" Now, why does this matter? Of course, this is ultimately what the war is actually about. The war, why did Hamas attack Israel? It's simple. Hamas attacked Israel because of a deal that was in the works between Israel and Saudi Arabia. What does Trump do in his first term? He and Jared Kushner facilitate the Abraham Accords, which is a diplomatic breakthrough. Prior to Trump's first administration, Israel had normalized relations with just two countries in the Middle East, Egypt and Jordan, by treaty. At Camp David in 79, in Jordan, I think in 93, both by treaty. Every other country, with the exception of Turkey, which recognized them almost immediately in 48, every other country from Morocco all the way through to Pakistan does not recognize Israel's existence, its right to exist, does not have normal diplomatic, economic relations with them. They have some like clandestine cooperation, like in the Gulf, for example, but none of them had normal relations. And this is really the crux of the whole Israel-Middle East conflict, is that Israel is here, and they're, some might say trying to integrate into the region, but it's a hostile region.
What it looks like to me is that they're just buying time. There's no signed declaration of anything that's going to change. This doesn't seem like any permanence that's laid out. There's no honor among these people, man. I mean, we're watching it happen. You just watched what I put earlier in the video. These people, they're young, and they're doing that to them down there. I mean, how can you ask for a pardon? How can you say that he's a war hero when he's a warmonger, in my humble opinion? All right? I'm devastated because I'm watching the United States people get lied to, killed, other people around the world being deceived by us, by our leadership, with our money. And I love this country, but I don't. This is the thing: is I had a friend recently. I told him I appreciate your friendship, but I forbid all the negative, evil stuff you've ever said to me. And even though there have been great things, the negative always outweighs the positive. And if we don't elevate our level of maturity to a point to where we are able to be staunch in our decisions as a community, as American patriots, as Americans in general, left, right, center, doesn't matter. Gay, trans, straight, homophobic, I don't care. But we are all in the same boat, because guess what? When that nuke drops, when those boots hit the street for good, ain't nobody gonna be talking about left or right. I'll tell you that right now. I'll see you in the next one.
on the beat.
They call me Danks on Lock. Yeah.